Okay, we are discussing the transistors actually, that how to get amplification from the transistor. uh, we require biasing to make an amplifier with the help of any three-terminal device like the transistor. Uh, you know that in case of transistor, uh, to get amplification, the transistor should be in the active region. That is, the base emitter junction should be forward biased, base collector junction should be reverse biased. And this base emitter junction and base collector junction biasing will be such, has to be the magnitude of the voltage drops, forward bias and the reverse bias should be such that the Q point should be in the middle of the active region. That is the purpose of the biasing. So you have to apply some DC battery together with a biasing circuit mainly constructed with the help of resistances. Why it is so? Because the capacitor inductors, this element, actually for the DC, their behavior is not like the resistances. Okay, capacitor is open circuit, inductor becomes short circuit. So that is why mainly the circuit will be resistive, such that this DC battery and the resistances in a particular circuit network will apply a forward bias in the base emitter junction. And you know that for silicon, it is 0.7 volt. And base collector junction, there must be some amount of reverse bias, which may be higher than the 1 volt, maybe 2 volt or 3 volt, like that. And this magnitude of this biasing, you know that the forward bias 0.7 volt is fixed, almost fixed, but the reverse bias of the base collector junction, there the value is not fixed, the value may change. And the precise value of that reverse bias will make the base collector, will make the transistor in the middle of the active region, will set the Q point in the middle of the active region, and that is our purpose. That is the main purpose of these biasing circuits. I hope that you have understood this philosophy right from the beginning of the biasing circuits. We are discussing this one, that what is the purpose of this biasing. In a summary, we can say that a biasing of the transistor means to make the transistor in the operating condition. That means to drive some currents to the transistor leads, as well as to set some DC voltages across the base emitter forward biasing or base collector reverse biasing. So set some DC voltages and currents such that the transistor goes into operating condition, entirely DC. So you are giving the transistor some DC energies. Now, after you have set the transistor in the operating condition, now you apply the AC signal. Then at the input side, you apply the AC signal with some proper blocking or by capacitors like the or transformers. Then at the output side, this transistor energized, or the transistor will now amplify the signal, taking some DC energies from the from the supply voltages, and convert that DC energy into AC and boost the output side. You will get an amplified version of the input signal. So this is the main mechanism with respect to energy consumption. So first you have to make the transistor in the operating condition. Unless and otherwise you make the transistor in the operating condition, no transistor can amplify signal directly. Like that, at the beginning I have said that transistor is not a magical thing. But the concept is, mainly a wrong concept is, that transistors seems to be a magical thing. If the signal touches the leads of the transistor, automatically gets amplified. It is not true. There is a definite science is there that you have to first energize the transistor to make it in the operating condition. Then the transistor will amplify the signal by converting some DC energy into AC energy and boosting the signal. So this is the main operation. This is the actual operation is happening And in this way, you can get amplification from the transistors. So this is the process. We have discussed this thing. And repeatedly, I have said that there is a Q point. Okay. So Q point should be in the middle of the active region. That Q point means the quotient operating point, or the transistor. First, you have to make the transistor in the operating condition. And that Q point signifies a definite operating condition of the transistor. We will discuss this thing today, that what is the Q point. We have discussed the fixed bias circuit, and we have understood that that circuit also can make the transistor in the active region, as well as set the Q point in the middle of the active region. That circuit also can amplify signal. But the stability of the fixed bias circuit is not good. We have seen this thing. With respect to ICO, it is beta plus 1. The stability is not good. We can improve the stability by increasing the RB resistances to a high value. This much we can do with that. Next biasing circuit, we have discussed the collector to base bias circuit. Slight changes have been made with the self bias circuit, that instead of the RB resistance is connected to the VCC supply, we now connect the RB resistance to the collector point of the transistor and to the base. So this much of change we can, we actually in the collector to base bias circuit have been done in modification of the fixed bias circuit. This actually improves the stability of the concerned circuit. The second circuit, collector to base bias circuit, also serves the same purpose, that the transistor, it will make the transistor in the active region, as well as you can set the Q point in the middle of the active region. It can amplify signal, but the difference, main advantage of the collector to base bias circuit is that the stability of this circuit is a little bit higher than the fixed bias circuit. And last day we have discussed this thing, that stability becomes higher because we have calculated the stability factors, and we have analyzed the stability, that the factors value is less, so the stability increases for that circuit. Next, we have discussed the self bias emitter bias or the voltage divider bias circuit. This circuit is the widely used stable biasing circuit for any type of three-terminal device, not only for the transistor, FET also, MOSFET also. They actually use this type of circuit. This self-bias circuit, mainly the voltage divider bias, is utilized. And this biasing circuit actually gives you the stable operation of the transistor amplifier. We have also discussed that why it is stable, because of this RE resistance, which was absent. This RE resistance is connected in this self-bias circuit, or the emitter bias circuit. This emitter is not directly connected to ground. Instead, it is connected through a resistance, RE. Now, this resistance was absent in the fixed bias circuit and the collector to base bias circuit, where you see that emitter is directly connected to ground. And that is the major problem of those two circuits, previous circuits, because this RE resistance actually stabilizes the, improves the stability. We have discussed this thing last day also, that how RE actually improves the stability. If some collector current tries to increase, then this, due to this RE resistance, a negative automatic feedback process will be there into the circuit, that it will reduce the increasing collector current to its original value. So the collector current increase is not allowed. So simultaneously, if the collector current tries to decrease, it will set the collector current back to its original value. So due to this RE resistance, this is actually going on into the circuit automatically. So that is why this circuit is the most stable circuit. It does not allow any collector current change. Though temperature may change, beta VB ICO may change, but the construction of this circuit, due to this RE resistance, does not allow any collector current change. The collector current tries to change, but it will set the collector current to its original value, same value. So that is why there is the stability, and this stability actually, due to this RE resistance connected here, it is the most stable circuit. As well as the construction of the circuit we have discussed earlier We have also discussed that what is the construction of the circuit. The construction of the circuit is like this, that you have learned this one, that so RC resistance actually supplying the collector biasing through the VCC voltage batteries. RE resistance is connected to the emitter side. R1, R2, these are the two voltage divider resistance pairs are there connected to the base to supply the base biasing, or you can say that it will apply, it will supply the base current as well as the base emitter voltage. So that is why it is called the voltage divider bias due to this R1 in R1 and R2 resistance at the base side. The capacitor, role of the capacitor, we will discuss today also. A little bit of capacitor role we have discussed earlier. Your friend has asked a question that why these capacitors are there. So these capacitors, three capacitors are there into the circuit. These all capacitors, three capacitors, are only for the AC operation. That means first you have to bias the transistor, then you have to apply signal. After the biasing, you have to apply the AC signal. When you apply the AC signal, then you have to consider these capacitors into the circuit. So then your capacitors will come into play. So these capacitors CB1 and CB2 are called the blocking capacitor, and CE is called the bypass capacitors. These capacitors, this circuit element capacitor is a frequency sensitive element. You know that the impedance of the impedance of the capacitor is frequency sensitive element, because it is 1 by j omega c. So that is why this capacitors mainly deals with the AC signal here, whereas the four resistances R1, R2, RC, RE, and VCC actually deals with the DC condition of the circuit. Also, this RC resistance, actually, you will see in the letter that RC resistance also determine the gain of the amplifier. Okay, the main purpose is the biasing. So these capacitors, whatever we are discussing here, the concepts regarding transistor, all the concepts is similar to the other three terminal devices. That means maybe a triode, maybe a FET, junction field effect transistor, maybe a MOSFET, metal oxide field effect transistor, maybe a complementary CMOSFET transistor. All the concepts will be similar. So if you can understand these concepts with the discussions of the transistor, the similar concept is also applicable to the other three terminal devices. So it will not be difficult to understand the other three terminal devices quickly. Only thing is that the basic operation of the other three terminal devices is slightly different from the transistor. Okay, otherwise the circuit, with respect to the circuit constants, the capacitor, resistance, biasing, these concepts are all similar. So my suggestion will be that you should learn this concept with the help of transistor. Automatically, the other part of the analog electronics deals with these other three terminal devices. Already you have learned that also. Okay, so focus into this one, that why the capacitors are there. You know that the capacitors only deals with the AC part. Why it is so? Because you know that direct charge cannot flow through the capacitor. Only the AC current, whenever the electric field or the displacement vector, you know that D equal to epsilon into E. So if the electric field changes, then the displacement vector changes. This changing electric field or the displacement vector can carry a current within the vacuum or any through a dielectric material where no charge flow does not require. So this is called the displacement current. Due to this reason, the capacitor actually can deals with the AC current can flow through the capacitor, but the DC current cannot flow because capacitor does not allow physical charge flow between its plate or between its construction. That is why this capacitor here actually deals with the AC mainly. Okay, so these are the primary concepts we have discussed so far. Now, last day also we have discussed that the input side of this circuit, that is the R1 and R2. So this actually biases the base. That means it sets a base emitter voltage as well as a base current definite together with the, and we have, this circuit is a little bit complicated. We have simplified the circuit. That means the input side of the biasing circuit have been little bit simplified here by applying the Thevenin's theorem. We have done the mathematics as well as the concepts that how the Thevenin theorem is applied. So this portion of the circuit have been simplified because if you maintain this construction of the original circuit, then it will be complicated to analyze the circuit. So we have simplified this one. This R1, R2 together with the VCC actually supplies the base, and we can simplify this circuit from for this portion of the circuit towards the left-hand side of this portion of the circuit. We can simplify. We have applied the Thevenin's theorem, and we got the simplified circuit. And we have calculated the Thevenin voltage, VT, like this one, R2 VCC by R1 plus R2, as well as the Thevenin equivalent resistance RT, R1 R2 by R1 plus R2. And you know that the equivalent circuit will be Thevenin voltage, a battery in series with a resistance. So this is the equivalent circuit of that R1 R2 portion of the original circuit. This equivalent or this equivalent circuit actually simpler than that of the original circuit, and you can apply very easily, you can analyze this equivalent circuit very easily to calculate the parameters or the voltages or currents flowing through the transistors. Now, after all this have been done, we will now apply the KVL equation into this circuit. Whenever we apply the KVL equation, deal with the circuit, we will deal with the equivalent circuit, because the original circuit to deal with, you require three mesh equations. This one is one mesh equation, this is another mesh equation, and that is another mesh equation. So three mesh equation you have to deal with for the original circuit. We have simplified it. Now you only have two mesh equation. That is, this is one mesh and this is another mesh equations. I hope that you have learned the mesh analysis in the circuit theory class. So this is your circuit, equivalent circuit. Now we will apply the mesh analysis here into this circuit. So this is your Thevenin voltage VT, and this is your Thevenin resistance RT. This is the equivalent input side of the transistor, and you know that this point is the base point. Between base and emitter, you have base emitter voltage. That is, base and emitter should be forward bias, because you are going to make the transistor in the active region with the biasing circuit. So base emitter should be forward bias. With the help of VCC and these resistances, then base emitter voltage should be for silicon. I am telling you the silicon, that 0.7 volt is the forward bias base emitter PN junction, forward bias voltage. Okay, for a silicon PN junction diode, unless you apply externally 0.7 volt, the internal depletion region or the barrier potential 0.7 volt will not be cancelled. So you have to apply an opposite 0.7 volt outside of the PN junction by the battery. That actually cancels the internal barrier potential. Then only the carriers can cross the junction. Then the current sharply rises. That is the forward bias voltage. So the barrier potential for this base emitter is VBE, and that is 0.7 volt. And the current flowing through This is the barrier potential across the base emitter junction. Current flowing through the base is IB due to this biasing, which is the constant DC current. Look into the symbol of these parameters. This capital I, capital B stands for DC, entirely DC. Capital I suffix capital B means you must be sure that that is a DC current. If I becomes small and B becomes large, that means small I capital B, that means it is the total current. It may be DC plus AC. But if you have the capital I capital B, then you must have that entire current is DC. So that is why it is the DC condition, and that is why the symbol is capital I capital B. This is the DC current. So this is the base side parameters. That is the base current is IB and base emitter voltage is VB. Now we can calculate. Sorry, for the other terminal, that is for the collector. Check the collector also. That collector, that means that this portion of the circuit. So this portion to the left hand side of the circuit, we have applied the Thevenin's theorem and we have extracted the equivalent circuit. But to the right hand side of the circuit, it's not changed. It is unaffected because the transistor is there. You cannot apply this portion of the circuit. You cannot apply any theorems here to simplify the circuit because the transistor is present there. So, so that is why the right hand side of this portion, that is the collector side or the output side, is not changed. That is same to the original circuit. So RC together with VCC gives you the collector biasing, as well as with the RE resistance gives you the collector biasing. This RC, RE and VCC actually sets the collector emitter voltage. Okay, so this is your collector emitter voltage, VCE. This is the collector emitter voltage between the collector point and the emitter point. The transistor has a voltage. A voltage drop will be will appear across the transistor between collector and emitter by these resistances and the VCC battery supply. That voltage is VCE. Collector voltage with respect to the emitter. Again, you see that V is capital, CE is also capital. So it is also entirely, it is a DC voltage. Again, okay. So the voltage drop across the collector and emitter is VCE. The collector current flowing through the transistor in this way. The collector current is flowing through the transistor in this way. That current also flows through the RC resistance, and that is IC collector current, which is shown as the red arrow. Whatever is the current flowing through the RC resistance, that is also the collector current flowing through the transistor. And from the base side, you have the IB current from the base side is entering into the base. Two current actually comes out of the emitter side. That is why through the resistance RE, you have the total current is coming is collector. Through the collector terminal, IC is coming. Through the base terminal is IB, base current is coming. So the entire current flowing through the emitter resistance is IC plus IB. So that is why that current flowing through the RE resistance is IC plus IB. So these are the currents and voltages applied across the transistor. If you bias the transistor in this way, that is the self bias. Now we have two loop equation. Should be two loop equation. There is only two loops into the circuit. One loop is this one. So this is one loop. So in this loop, we apply the KVL equation. I hope that you have learned the mesh analysis of the loop equation to find the loop equation for a particular circuit. Mesh analysis of the mesh equations, loop equations. That if you have a circuit, in the circuit theory class, you may have dealt with the linear parameters like the resistance, capacitors, inductors, or current sources, or the dependent current sources, that is the voltage, dependent voltage source, dependent current sources. This sort of circuit elements you will find in the circuit theory class. The difference between the circuit theory and the analog electronics is that you have a nonlinear circuit element, that is the transistor into the circuit. That is why this analysis is a little bit complicated than that of the conventional circuit theory problem. But the theorem is same, that is that you apply the KVL equation to this loop, input side. Can anybody guess what will be the KVL equation for this input side, base side? Anybody can try it? Anyone? That what will be the KVL equation for the base side? This is your
minus
VT.
VT.
Okay, minus VT.
Sir, बोलबो?
Bolo.
Minus VT plus IB RT plus
Yeah.
IB IC into RE equals to 0.
IC plus IB into RE. Okay, minus VT বলছে কেন এটা তো সোর্স এটা ইকুয়েশনের রাইট সাইডে থাকে টোটাল all the voltage drops coming from the source. So the supplied energy from the source should be equal to the taken energy. So first you calculate the drops, then that should be equal to the supply drop. So that is the principle. So you are saying that minus VT, that is that you are taking the supply voltage in the same side of the equation. And then you have calculated a drop RT into IB. So this side is plus and this side is minus for this drop across the resistance RT. So it is RT into IB. Okay. Then you have calculated this one, the drop across RE resistance. So this side will be plus and this side will be minus. So the drop across the resistance RE should be IC plus IB, which is the current flowing through the resistance RE into the RE, equal to 0. That is your equation. You are saying that like that, okay? Is that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Anyone, any other will try?
Sir, VV is not situated which equation, but VV is another voltage.
Yeah. You have to taken care of the drop across. Voltage drop also appears between the base and emitter. That voltage drop is 0.7 volt. It depends on the material, but you have to take that voltage drop also. In this path also, actually what happens, actually truly speaking, I am saying that you have learned in the circuit theory class. So the conventional voltage drop, what you have learned, what you have trained is the drop across resistance, drop across capacitor, drop across inductor, drop across the voltage sources. But you have not dealt into that class with the semiconductor devices. Now you, in this case, you have a semiconductor device and base terminal and emitter terminal are into the path. You see that. Are you getting me? So base terminal is also there and emitter terminal is also there into this loop. So don't forget that one. Though it is a semiconductor device, transistor, but between this base and emitter, a drop will be there. Why? Because base is P side P and emitter is N. So that is a PN junction. So a drop will be forward bias voltage drop, which is VBE, will be there. The plus side will be like this, and this will be the minus side. So that drop you have to taken care of. Have you got it?
Yes, sir.
So you have 3 voltage drops. Voltage drop across RT, Thevenin resistance, voltage drop across RE, emitter resistance, plus the voltage drop across the transistor base and emitter, because that base and emitter of the transistor is in this loop, is there. So current has to travel through the base to the emitter. So so these are the all drops should be equal to VT or minus VT, as your friend said that you can take it as a minus VT also. So these all the voltage drops should be equal to VT, and that is your KVL equation for the input side loop. So we can check this one, that what will be the KVL equation. You see that the KVL equation is written here. To the right hand side, usually the right hand side of the equation, the supply voltages are taken care of. So this right hand side, you see that VT, which is the supply voltage, though it is a Thevenin equivalent voltage, but it is the supply voltage. So it is in the right hand side of the equation. Towards the left hand side, this supply voltage VC actually gives the drops across the different circuit elements. So this VT is divided into the voltage drop across RT, which is IB into RT. So this is your IB into RT. Voltage drop across RE, that is actually current flowing through the RE, is IC plus IB into RE. So this is your IC plus IB into RE, plus a base and emitter of the transistor is there. So a base emitter voltage drop is in the loop. So you have to taken care of. So that is why VB is there. So that should be equal to VT. So this is the KVL equation into the input side, this loop. Okay. Is there any difficulty?
No, sir.
So this is the input side equation. Now you see that if you don't have make an equivalent circuit or simplified the circuit, then at the input side you have two loop equations in the original circuit. So this is one loop and this is another loop. So instead of two loop equation into the input side of the original self-bias circuit, you now have only one loop and one KVL equation. So it will be you have to simplify, or you have to solve for one less equation if you simplify the circuit. So that is why we have simplified the circuit. So if this is the input side equation, so from this equation we can solve for the input current IB, DC current IB, base current, which is flowing inside the transistor. So what will be the IB? So you can solve it from this equation, that IB should be equal to VT minus VBE. So this voltage minus towards the right hand side of the equation is this drop, you can take it, and IC into RE. So this IC into RE minus IC into RE divided by the IB. You have one RT is there, another IB is here. So you have to take the common of the IB here. So RT plus RE. So that will go to the denominator. So that is the equation. That is actually you can solve for the IB current. So IB is like that. So this is the equation for the IB. From this equation, we have got this IB current equation. Okay. Next, we will first calculate this. This is the IB current we have calculated. Next, we will calculate the output side current, that is the collector side. That means the output side loop. We will now deal with the. We have found an equation for the IB, that is the base current. What is the magnitude of the current that is actually flowing through the flowing inside the base of the transistor? That is actually given into this equation. Next, we will discuss or deal the output side of this circuit. Then we will find the output side loop KVL equation for the output side of the transistor. So this is your output loop. This is the output loop of the transistor, collector side loop. And in this loop, you see that you have to apply the KVL equation to find out the second KVL equation for the output side KVL equation. What are the voltage drops here? Definitely VCC is the supply voltage that is actually supplying the voltages and the currents to the different branches of the transistor. The current flowing through the RC resistance is the collector current, that is the IC, and that current also flows through the transistor in this way and goes through the emitter resistance as well. Through the emitter resistance, collector current is coming from the collector terminal, as well as the base current is also coming from the base terminal. So a base current is also coming in this way. So that is why the total current flowing through the RE resistance is IC plus IB. Okay. So this is the IC plus IB is the total current that is actually flowing through the resistance RE. And through RC resistance, the IC collector current is flowing through the resistance. That collector current also flows through between the collector and emitter point of the transistor like this. a voltage drop will appear across the collector and the emitter. That voltage drop is called the VCE. This voltage drop is the voltage drop across the collector and emitter. The collector voltage with respect to emitter, that is the voltage drop VCE. The polarity is also shown here. That is the voltage drop. So these are the drops. 3 drops are you have to consider. The voltage drop across RC, that is IC into RC, plus the voltage drop across RE, that is IC plus IB into RE. And don't forget that you have a semiconductor device and the collector point and the emitter point is into this loop. They are connected. So there must be a voltage drop across the collector and emitter, that is VCE. As it is not a resistance, so you don't need to multiply with the resistance and current, but you have to consider the drop across the transistor, collector and emitter directly. So VCE. So that should be equal to the supply voltage VCC. Is that okay? So that is your output loop KVL. That should be your output loop KVL equation. So this is your output loop KVL equation. You can see that. So this is your loop equation. I hope that the first equation, you just see the first equation. It will not take the, okay. You see the first equation that the first term is all the voltage drop is summated written into this equation, that collector emitter voltage is VCE plus voltage drop across the RC resistance, which is IC into RC, the first term. Within the bracket, if you multiply the IC with the RC, then you will get the IC into RC, plus IC into RE plus IB into RE, that is the voltage drop across the emitter resistance. So all these 3 voltages should be equal to the supply voltage VCC. So this is the KVL equation for the output loop or the collector loop. So we have 2 loop equations. First loop equation is the input loop, which actually gives you the base current. And the second loop equation is this one, which actually calculates the collector current and the collector emitter voltage. And the first loop equation gives you the base current and the base emitter voltage. Now in these biasing circuits, now you see that in these biasing circuits, once you construct the circuit, then you have this, these are known, these resistances are known, RT is also known, VT is also known, RE is also known, and these are all known quantities, and VCC is also known quantities. So these are, once you construct the circuit, these are the known quantities. You have to connect the definite resistances as well as the battery. That is why RC is known, RE is known, RT is known, VT is known. What are the unknown quantities? Unknown quantities are the base current, the base emitter voltage. Input side unknown quantities. Base current IB is unknown to you. Either you have to apply a meter to measure the current, or you have to calculate the current by this analysis. So base current is unknown, as well as the base emitter voltage is also unknown. So these 2 quantities are unknown quantities. Okay, so this base emitter voltage plus minus VBE is unknown to the input side, as well as the base current is also unknown to the input side. Similarly, at the output side, this collector current is unknown quantities, and collector emitter voltage is also unknown quantities between collector and emitter. So these are the unknown quantities of the transistor. How to find these unknown quantities? By these 2 equations, you will get the unknown quantities for the transistor, because you know that there is another relation for the transistor, that this base current and collector current are related by the fundamental transistor equation. The collector current IC equal to beta into IB. That is another equation. That is the fundamental. That means this point current and this point current is already known because you know the transistor action. So transistor actually defines these 2 point current. That is, collector current is beta into IB. Okay, and also for a material, if you know the material of the semiconductor, means the transistor, then you know the base emitter voltage. So if you have the silicon transistor, then base emitter is PN junction forward bias, so that should be 0.7 volt. If you have a gallium arsenide material, then that base emitter voltage should be 1.2 volt. If you have a germanium, you know that what will be the germanium forward bias voltage?
0.3
PN
volt.
junction. Yeah, 0.3 or 0.2 and 0.4 in this range. It actually, the nominal value is 0.3 volt. So this base emitter voltage, which is the forward bias PN junction or the base and emitter junction voltage, that is defined, that is fixed for a particular temperature and particular material. At a room temperature, for silicon material, you have 0.7 volt. So you know this base emitter voltage. Okay. So so among the 4, you see that among the 4 unknown variables, that is IC, VC, VB, and IB. These are the unknown quantities of the circuit. Among the 4 unknown quantities, you know base emitter voltage if you know the material. So you have now 3 unknown variables of the transistors, and you have to solve for these unknown variables to calculate the base current, collector current, and collector emitter voltage for this biasing circuit. So you should have 3 equations. One equation is the input loop KVL equation. Another equation is the output loop KVL equation. And what is the third equation? What should be the third equation? So these are the 2 equations, but you have 3 unknown quantities. IB, IC, and VCE. VBE is known. So the third equation is the transistor fundamental equation. That is, IB and IC are related by the transistor relation. That is, IC equal to beta into IB. So these are the 3 equations. Then you can solve for the 3 quantities, and you can get the that how much base current is flowing, how much collector current is flowing, and how much is the base collector emitter voltage is there for this biasing circuit. Okay. I hope that you have understood that how to calculate these parameters, what are the unknown variables and what are the known variables. Now, we will now focus on to the output side of the transistor. That means this loop and this side of the transistor. Okay, because ultimately you have to amplify the signal and you will get the signal from the collector side. So from this collector point, you will get your signal. So we have to deal with the output side of the transistor, because you know that a transistor is in the active region only can amplify signal. So you also know the output characteristics of the transistor. What is the output characteristics of the transistor? Can you remember how to draw a output characteristics of a transistor? Can anybody say? Input characteristics of the transistor is the base current versus the base emitter voltage. So this is the input characteristics. You can draw input characteristics, base current versus base emitter voltage, and that definitely should be a forward bias PN junction characteristics curve. So that is why the input characteristics means this characteristics actually gives you like this type of exponential curves for different collector current. So these are the input characteristics of the transistor. But the output characteristics of the transistor, which are the parameters that actually you draw in case of output characteristics of the transistor? Can anybody remember this one?
Collector current and collector emitter voltage.
Yeah, and VC.
Yeah,
IC and VC.
Yeah, IC and VCE. The third parameter is the base current into that. and you have already learned that characteristics. You know that characteristics, how that characteristics actually look like. So this is the output characteristic for one base current. This is the output characteristics for the another base current. In this side you have the collector current, in this side you have the collector emitter voltage for the common emitter amplifier, common emitter mode of the transistor. So you have this, in this way, for the different input base current, you have different parallel lines that actually gives you the collector current with respect to the collector emitter voltage. So this is the output characteristics of the transistor. These characteristics is in your hand, because whenever a manufacturer whenever you buy a transistor for a particular number of the transistor, suppose 2N3866 or BC504, whatever is the SL100, SCAN, whatever is the transistor, if you know the number and buy that transistor, then you, from the data sheet, you will get this characteristics curve for that transistor. It is already have been experimentally, these characteristics curves of the transistor is experimentally you can also obtain. If you don't know the characteristics, if you have a transistor, then within the laboratory, you can set an experiment and draw this characteristics curve for that transistor, whatever you have in your hand. So this characteristics curve you can draw with the help of experiment, or you can get it from the company sheet where this characteristics curves is given there. These characteristics curves of the transistor actually gives you or tells you the collector current as a function of collector emitter voltage, collector current as a function of collector emitter voltage, as a parameter that is the IB. For a particular base current, you have to change the VCE and measure the collector current. So that will give you this characteristic output characteristics curve. So in the output characteristics curves of the transistor, you have the variable is the IC, collector current, together with respect to the VC. The third parameter is the IB. Because I'm saying this one because you may have forgotten this one, but you have said it correctly. So now we will discuss about the active region of the transistor. And so long we have said the Q point. Repeatedly I have said Q point, and what is the Q point, definition of the Q point. Now this first equation, the equation at the top, can be rearranged as a bottom, where IC usually very greater than IB. You know this fact that collector current is usually very larger than the base current. You know that the base current is a very small current, microampere order, whereas the collector current is a milliampere order. Okay, so there is the between base and collector you have the transistor amplification, and that is why these current magnitudes are different. So collector current is very larger than the base current. If this is so, then into the first equation you can omit this IB into RE. You see that after the bracket plus IB into RE term is there. If the base current is very small than the collector current, or the collector current is very larger than the base current, then you can neglect this term IB into RE. If you neglect this term IB into RE and rearrange the equation, then the second equation you see that IC can be written as IC equal to minus VCE by RC plus RE plus VCC by RC plus RE. This is actually obtained from the first equation. It is not very difficult one, because you can easily obtain this one. If you neglect this IB into RE, then solve for IC, then it will be like this. Okay, is there any difficulty for the second equation, that IC equal to minus VCE by RC plus RE plus VCC by RC plus RE? So this equation up to this point, I hope that you have understood this one. Now this equation actually gives you that IC is the unknown quantity in the output side of the transistor. Another unknown quantity, you know that VCE, collector emitter voltage. apart from these two quantities, all the other quantities are known. VC supply voltage is known, RC is known, RE is known. These are the resistance connected to the circuit. So RC, RE both are known. So all the other parameters are known. VCC, RC, RE are known. Only the unknown quantity is VCE, the voltage drop across collector and emitter, and the collector current flowing through the transistor. So this equation, this output side KVL equation can be written in this way. And this equation actually is a KVL equation, and that actually gives you the collector current variation with respect to the collector emitter voltage across the transistor. Okay, can anybody say that what is the nature of this equation? It's a parabolic equation, circle equation. What type of equation is this one? Can anybody say this equation? IC is the Y parameter and VC is the X parameter. Then what is the type of this equation?
Straight line.
It's a Y equal to mx plus C equation.
Straight line.
Straight line equation where m is the gradient and C is the ordinate. That means how much is the ordinate have been bisected by this, or magnitude of the ordinate where from the intersection point of the origin. So this equation is a straight line equation, and this equation, if you plot this equation into a curve, that is IC versus VC curve, it will be a straight line equation. So this equation, if you plot it, it will be like this one. So this is the straight line equation, actually representing this equation, which is the KVL equation at the output loop of the transistor, where IC is the Y parameter. So this is your Y parameter, and VC is the X parameter, Y equal to mx plus C. VC equal to X parameter. So this is your X parameter. So this should be a straight line. Because of the negative slope, the slanting will be like this, whatever is the shown in the figure. So gradient will be in the, as it is a negative, so it will be slanted towards the like this one. It has a negative slope. And what is the slope? What is the magnitude of the slope? Minus 1 by RC plus RE. So this is your slope of that straight line. Slope equal to minus 1 by RC plus RE. And what is the intersection of this straight line with the y-axis, that is IC axis? This is this point, is the magnitude C, y equal to mx plus C. So this C is the magnitude of that intersection point. So that is why it is VCC by RC plus RE. So this is actually the plotting of the straight line over the IC versus VCC coordinate axis, and with the slope of minus 1 by RC plus RE. This straight line is called the load line. Is that okay? This straight line is called the load line. It actually is the KVL equation at the output loop, which actually connects the two parameter, unknown parameter, the collector current and VCE. Why we are doing like this? Because this equation actually gives you, the two unknown quantities. One is the IC, another is the VCE. To solve these two parameters, you require another equation, because you know that two parameters to solve unknown quantities, to solve you require two equations. One equation is this one, KVL equation. You require another equation which actually relate the collector current and the collector emitter voltage. What is that equation? Another equation, that is the device equation of the transistor. So collector current is flowing through the transistor between collector and emitter, and a voltage drop will be generated across collector and emitter. That transistor device equation you require another equation, that is the transistor device equation. And that equation is not mathematically, you have a mathematical expression for the transistor equation between the collector current and collector emitter voltage, but that equation is very non-linear, highly complicated. You can see it in the statement book that it appears to be cos h, sin h, tan h type of hyperbolic function actually relates these two quantities IC and VCE. So it will be very difficult to solve mathematically that equation and this linear equation to extract IC and VCE. So that device equation is highly nonlinear. So it is almost impossible to solve the transistor equation and this state line equation to extract IC and VCE. So we don't mathematically solve the two equations. What we do, the transistor device equation, that is the collector current versus the VCE, is the characteristics curve. These blue characteristics curves of the transistor, these blue characteristics curves of the transistor, actually that equation of the transistor, that is the collector current versus the collector emitter voltage. This graph, that is the output characteristics curve of the transistor, is the second equation. Okay, but this curve you can easily obtain from the laboratory or you can get it from the manufacturer data sheet. This is already available. So second equation, which is actually the collector current versus the collector emitter voltage, a highly nonlinear equation, it is represented into graphical fashion. That is the output characteristics. It is not represented into the mathematical function. If you represent it in a mathematical function, it is a very complicated mathematics you will get. So rather than dealing with a highly nonlinear complicated second equation, transistor device equation mathematics, we represent that equation into the graphical format. That is quite easy because we know the output characteristics of the transistor. As the second equation is represented graphically, so this state line equation, which is the KVL equation, output loop KVL equation, you should also represent this equation graphically. Instead of the mathematics, this mathematical equation, we should represent this equation as a graph, and that is this state line equation. So we have two equations, both are represented into the graph. One is the transistor device equation, IC current versus VCE. Another is the state line output KVL equation. That is also represented, that equation is linear, but that is also represented as a curve, that is a straight line. Now, these two curves, the intersection point will give you the solution. You know this thing that any two curve of the two variable, the intersection point is the solution point, and the coordinate of that intersection point will give you the collector current, unknown Y unknown quantity, and collector emitter voltage, the X unknown quantity, and that is the solution process. So we will solve for the collector current and collector emitter voltage graphically, not by mathematically. That is why this state line equation or this linear KVL equation is represented in a graph, that is a straight line, and that straight line is called the load line. Slope is -1 by RC plus RE. Now for a particular base current, suppose the base current is this one. For a particular base current, among these all the output characteristics, the specific collector current will be flow, and that is these characteristics for a particular base current. If you change the base current, then the characteristics curve will change. If you increase the base current, maybe this one is the characteristics curve. If you rather increase the base current, then this one will be the characteristics curve. But and this is the straight line. Another equation. So what is the intersection point? So this point is the intersection point, and that is the solution point. That is the solution of the two unknown quantities. So the coordinate of that point is the solution for the problem. The coordinate of that point is ICQ is the amount of collector current flowing, and the VCEQ, the amount of collector emitter voltage exists, the x-axis and the y-axis. So the coordinates are like this. The coordinate of the Q point is, y coordinate is ICQ and x coordinate is VCEQ. So these two coordinates of the Q point, of the intersection point, is the solution for the problem, that how much is the collector current flowing is ICQ. What is the amount of collector emitter voltage? VCEQ. Then you will get the definite collector current, definite collector emitter voltage across the transistor. This intersection point is called the Q point, that quotient point. Okay, stable quotient point, static quotient point. So when you connect battery resistances, then a particular collector current is flowing through the transistor, that is constant, that is your ICQ. And a particular collector emitter voltage is present between the collector and emitter of the transistor, and that is your VCEQ. Is that okay? Provided the base current is fixed. At the input side, you have fixed the base current. If you change the base current, suppose you have increased the base current slightly, then suppose this is your characteristics curve for that base current at the input side. Then the Q point or the intersection point or the solution point will be this one. Then what will be the magnitude of the x coordinate and the y coordinate? That will, so this is your y coordinate and this is your x coordinate at that base current, and that will be, that means that much of collector current will flow and that much of collector emitter voltage. So this much of collector emitter voltage will be present and this much of collector current will flow through the transistor. So in this way, this is the definition of the Q point. So I have repeatedly said that what is a Q point? What is a Q point? So that in the middle of the active region of the Q point should be set in the middle of the active region. So this argument I have repeatedly said. Now the definition of the Q point is that once you have constructed the biasing circuit, the transistor currents becomes fixed. A particular collector current will flow. A particular collector emitter voltage will apply across the transistor. A particular base current will flow. And base emitter voltage 0.7 volt for a silicon constant. So these three coordinates, these three parameters are the coordinates of that intersection point or the Q point or the quotient point. Okay. So if any parameter changes, this Q point shifts along the load line. And this purpose of this biasing circuit is to make this Q point in the middle of the active region. So this is the definition of the load line and the Q point. Why this load line and Q point concept appears into the semiconductor, mainly due to the semiconductor device. Why? Because all the devices, semiconductor devices, are highly nonlinear. The current flowing through the device and the voltage across the device are not linear equation. They are highly nonlinear. You cannot obtain a definite equation for that device. Rather, experimentally, you can get a curve or the characteristics curve that actually relate the current versus voltage. And that is why the KVL equation you have to represent in a straight line equation, straight line graph, and the intersection will give you the solution. So graphical method will be utilized in case of highly nonlinear device. Mathematics is not a mathematical, truly mathematical solution is not a very good one, will not be a very good one. And ultimately you cannot solve a mathematical equation contained in a highly nonlinear device like the semiconductor. That is why this load line and Q point concept appears in the semiconductor devices. Every device has this type of concept when you apply into a particular circuit, whether it is a diode, transistor, FET, MOSFET, any device. I hope that you have understood the load line and Q point concept. Is there any question? regarding this one? Have you got it?
Yes, sir.
Any question is
Yes,
there?
sir.
Anybody? This concept is not only applicable for the transistor. This load line Q point concept is also applicable for the other semiconductor device, because semiconductor devices are highly non-linear. Mathematical solution is quite impossible. You cannot solve that mathematical equations. So you have to jump to the graphical solution. That is why this Q point and load line appears. Any question, any doubt is there? Anyone has any thing? Okay, then it is good. Then we jump to the other part of the discussion, that is the stability of this self-bias circuit. It will not be very long, because you have already analyzed the stability of the other two circuits and compared it.
to read more, then we can স্যার
বলো।
আমাদের আরো একটু স্যার পড়তে হবে ভিতরে, তবে আমরা এই জিনিসটা আরো বুঝতে মানে ডাউট আসবে স্যার। এখন ডাউট আসছে না মাথায়, কেননা পুরো জিনিসটা বুঝবো তো আরো ভালো করে, তবে স্যার ডাউট অ্যারাইজ হতে পারে।
না, ডাউট আসতেই পারে। তোমার ডাউট থাকলে সেটা আমাকে বলবে, আমি ক্লিয়ার করবো। কিন্তু এখন যেটা শুনলে সেটা বুঝতে কোনো অসুবিধা হলো কিনা, সেইটা হচ্ছে
না না
মেন
স্যার,
কথা।
সেটা স্যার বুঝতে পারছি স্যার।
ওইটুকু যদি বুঝতে পেরে থাকো, তাহলে অনেকটাই ডাউট বা যা কিছু ওই কনসেপ্টটা তুমি কিছুটা বুঝেছো, রিয়ালাইজ করেছো। ডাউট কিছু থাকতে পারে, সেগুলো নিজেও ক্লিয়ার করে ফেলতে পারবে, অথবা আমাকে জিজ্ঞেস করবে। এইটুকু যদি বুঝে থাকো, আজকে যেটা ডিসকাশন করলাম, এটা বুঝে থাকলে ব্যাস ঠিক আছে। তার কোনো কোশ্চেন নেই যখন, ঠিক আছে। কিন্তু কোনো ডাউট থাকলে অবশ্যই আমাকে জিজ্ঞেস করবে, ঠিক আছে?
ওকে স্যার।
Next we go into the stability analysis. You have also learned the stability of the fixed bias and understood that the stability is not good. The fixed bias circuit, in case of fixed bias circuit, you can also draw the Q point load line, and you can set the Q point in the middle of the active region for the fixed bias circuit. So fixed bias circuit can also amplify, but the problem is the fixed bias circuit stability is not good. Then the second biasing circuit is collector to base bias circuit, where also you can get a load line Q point, because the transistor has the output characteristics. So the output KVL equation will give you the load line. The intersection solution point is the Q point. You can get it from that biasing circuit also. The designing of this biasing circuit should be such that you have to choose or the estimate the correct values of the resistances and batteries that will make this solution point or the quotient point in the middle of the active region. That is the purpose of the biasing. Okay, so collector to base bias, you can also set the Q point in the middle of the active region. Transistor should be in the active region. You can get amplification from the collector to base bias, but the stability is better than the fixed bias, but it is not so better like the self bias, because you know that both the circuit has emitter is grounded, there is no emitter resistance. So that is why this self bias circuit is widely used. Now we will discuss little bit about this stability of this self bias circuit. Already you have learned this thing. Just I have to very few points I just raise you in front of you, and I hope that you will understand this one. So this is the base current. This is the base current we have calculated for the self bias circuit. Remember that we have taken this input a mesh and applied the KVL and obtained this base current. Then we will get the three stability factors. What I have said, that the collector current is the output current of the transistor. This collector current actually dependent on the beta, VBE and ICO. If temperature changes these three parameters, then the collector current will change. But we have already discussed, due to this RE resistance, this self bias circuit automatically reduces the collector current. From its changing value, it will minimizes it. So the stability of this circuit is very good. Now we will find out the three stability factors, S, ICO S beta S VBE, like the previous one. So we take the fundamental equation of the transistor, that is the this equation. Oh, sorry. So the first equation, you see that IC equal to beta into IB plus beta plus 1 into ICO. This is the complete fundamental equation for the amplification factor of the transistor, beta of the transistor. Now, this base current IB, beta into IB, this base current IB, we can replace this base current from this equation. So this is the equation for the base current we have extracted for this self bias circuit. For this particular biasing circuit, we have calculated this base current. In a different biasing circuit, you have a different base current equation. But in this case, we have that base current expression. And we will now replace this one, Vt minus Vb minus Ic Re plus divided by Rt plus Re. We will now replace that base current into this equation. And little bit the algebra will be little bit complicated. You have to be careful, but it is just a simple algebra that you can set the collector current like this. I am not going into the detail, but you can do definitely you can do this one. This is not very complicated. So this is this after you substitute this IC equation, that IB base current what we have calculated in case of fixed bias, then this will be your equation. So ultimately after substitution, you will get this collector current equation like this. Though it looks very complicated, but don't bother about that. So the collector current, you see this collector current equation is a function of beta. So these are the betas. ICO, the collector saturation current, and VBE, the base emitter voltage. These three parameters actually depend on the temperature change. If the temperature changes, these three parameters actually changes, then the collector current will change. So this equation actually tells that that how these three parameters actually changes the collector current. Next, you have to just simply differentiate this collector current equation with the three parameters. That in case of SICO, you have to differentiate the whole equation with respect to ICO, maintaining beta and VB constant, then you will get this one. I'm not going into the detail of this derivation, but you can do it. So SICO expression will be like this one or this one. Remember that in case of fixed bias, we have obtained only beta plus 1. But in case of collector to base bias, we have a denominator factor. Also in case of self bias, you see that this denominator factor is also there. So the SICO for the self bias is much better than the fixed bias as well as the collector to base bias. Look into this second expression. So the SICO actually vary from 1 to 1 plus beta. How? That SICO actually vary from 1 to 1 plus beta. It is written here. You can see that stability changes from unity to 1 plus beta when RT by RE increases from very small to very large value. So this RT by RE, if the value is very small, then you can neglect it. Then one in the numerator you have beta plus 1, in the denominator you have 1 plus beta. So that will cancel and becomes 1. But if the RT by RE is very, very large, then it will become, then this RT by RE is very, very large. So 1 plus beta will go down. You can neglect it. Then it will become 1 plus beta. So SICO actually vary from 1 to 1 plus beta for RT by RE from very low to very high value. But you know that to make this circuit stable, you have to fix this stability factor to the minimum value. That means you should stick to this stability factor from to 1, not for the higher value 1 plus beta. So that is why you have to make this RT by RE, this RT by RE very, very small, or RT is very, very small. RT should be, RT by RE should be very large. Okay, যদি এটা লার্জ হয় তবে এটা গিয়ে তোমার হয়ে যাবে না, ধরো এক মিনিট জাস্ট ইউনিটি টু 1 প্লাস বিটা যদি RT বাই RE যদি তোমার স্মল হয় তবে এটা ইউনিটি হবে, ঠিক আছে? তো সো RT বাই RE should be small, so RT should not be much larger than RE, সেই জন্য RT বাই RE টা হচ্ছে তোমার স্মল হতে হবে। ইজ দ্যাট ওকে? এখানে যে RT by RE, this RT by RE, if this value is very low, close to 0, then 1 plus beta, in the numerator you have beta plus 1 cancel to 1. So that is the best value of the stability, lower value. If the RT by RE is very high, then it will become beta plus 1. এটা যদি খুব বেশি হয় তাহলে এই ডিনোমিনেটরে এটা বাদ চলে যাবে, তখন এইটা বিটা প্লাস 1 হয়ে যাবে স্টেবিলিটি ফ্যাক্টর। সো RT by RE should be low, ratio should be low such that the stability factor becomes 1, and that is why from this expression we conclude that we actually conclude that from this expression we conclude that to make the stability higher we have to make this RT by RE low. That means RT should be much smaller than the emitter resistance. This is one conclusion. Again, if you differentiate the equation with respect to VB, you will get this one. Remember the fixed bias circuit, this SVB, where you have got minus beta by RB, the base resistance, but it is now minus beta by RT plus beta plus 1 into RE. So denominator is large, so stability is good compared to the fixed. Huh?
সেকেন্ড লাইনে মানে যে ইকুয়েশন যেটা বুঝতে পারলাম না, সিম্পলিফিকেশনটা
কোনটা
সেকেন্ড লাইনে স্যার, বিটা প্লাস
ও
1
এটা
বাই 1।
হ্যাঁ, এটা বুঝতে পারলে না? আচ্ছা, এই এক্সপ্রেশনটা তো বুঝতে পেরেছো? এটা ধরো এই এক্সপ্রেশনটা ট্রু ধরে নাও, কারণ না এই এক্সপ্রেশনটা আমি ডিরাইভ করছি না, এটা ধরো ট্রু তুমি ধরে নাও যে এটা সত্যি, ঠিক আছে? বুঝতে পেরেছো?
ও আচ্ছা, ধরেই নিয়েছি এটা।
না ধরে নিচ্ছি মানে কি, এই যে এক্সপ্রেশনটা এলো এটা কিভাবে এলো? এই ইকুয়েশনটাকে ডিফারেন্সিয়েট করলে ডেল আইসি বাই ডেল আইসিও বের করছো, এই ইকুয়েশনটাকে ডিফারেন্সিয়েট করে যদি ডেল আইসি বাই ডেল সিও বার করো তাহলে এইটা আসবে। সেই প্রসেসটা আমি করছি না, এই ফাইনাল এক্সপ্রেশনটা আমি এস আইসিও ইকুয়াল টু ডেল আইসি বাই ডেল আইসিও সেইটা আমি এখানে লিখে দিচ্ছি ডাইরেক্টলি, এটা আসবে, ঠিক আছে?
আচ্ছা বুঝেছি, ঠিক আছে,
এই ইকুয়েশনটা আসবে। এবারে আমি এই ইকুয়েশনটা, আমার উদ্দেশ্যটা হচ্ছে যে স্টেবিলিটিটা একটু অ্যানালিসিস করা, যে ওই রেজিস্ট্যান্স গুলো কেমন ভাবে চুজ করব বা বিটা কেমন ভাবে চুজ করব যাতে করে স্টেবিলিটি হাই হবে। তো এই এক্সপ্রেশনটাকে আমি এরকম ভাবে লিখতে পারি, অসুবিধা নেই তো? এটাকে জাস্ট তুমি এই RT বাই RE এই ডিনোমিনেটরটাকে তুমি যদি এইটা দিয়ে নরমালাইজ করে উপর নিচে যদি RE দিয়ে ভাগ করো তাহলে এই এক্সপ্রেশনটা আসবে, সেকেন্ড এক্সপ্রেশনটা আসবে, ঠিক আছে? এবার এই সেকেন্ড এক্সপ্রেশনটা একটু লক্ষ্য করো, যদি RT বাই RE টা খুব স্মল হয়, জিরোর কাছাকাছি হয়, তাহলে এই দুটোকে বাদ দিতে পারো, এটাকেও বাদ, তাহলে বিটা প্লাস 1 হচ্ছে নিউমারেটরে, আর ডিনোমিনেটরে 1 প্লাস বিটা উইল ক্যান্সেল টু 1। যদি RT বাই RE একটু হাই ভ্যালু নাও তাহলে এই 1 প্লাস বিটাটা এফেক্টিভলি কম হয়ে যাবে, তখন এস আইসিও হয়ে যাবে বিটা প্লাস 1। তাহলে stability factor S ICO vary from 1 to 1 plus beta, and you know that beta is a large quantity, so 1 plus beta মানে high value আর 1 হচ্ছে lowest value, so we must stick the stability value to 1. For that reason we have to make RT by RE very very small, or RT should be much less than RE. So this is the condition we have to impose to the circuit that will make the stability with respect to ICO better. Okay? তুমি তো এর আগে তো বুঝেছো যে আরই রেজিস্ট্যান্সটার এফেক্টটা তুমি বুঝেছো। যদি আরই রেজিস্ট্যান্সটাকে ছোট নাও তাহলে ওই ফিডব্যাক মেকানিজমটা একটু কম হবে। আরই রেজিস্ট্যান্সটাকে যদি একটু বেশি নাও আরটি থেকে, তাহলে ফিডব্যাক মেকানিজমটা একটু বেশি অ্যামাউন্টে হবে, তাহলে কালেক্টর কারেন্টটা চেঞ্জ করতে চাইলে সঙ্গে সঙ্গে ও সেট করে দেবে। বুঝতে পেরেছো ব্যাপারটা? এই স্টেবিলিটি থেকেও সেই একই জিনিসই
স্যার।
আসছে, বুঝেছো? ওকে।
হ্যাঁ স্যার।
এবার সিমিলারলি হচ্ছে এসভিবি, এটাকে যদি তুমি এই ইকুয়েশনটাকে, এই যে কালেক্টর কারেন্টের এই ইকুয়েশনটাকে যদি ডিফারেন্সিয়েট করো উইথ রেসপেক্ট টু ভিবি, তাহলে ডেল আইসি বাই ডেল ভিবি হচ্ছে এসভিবি, ওইটা করার পরে তোমার এই এক্সপ্রেশনটা আসবে। সেটা আমি বলছি না, আমি করে দেখাচ্ছি না, এটা তোমরা পারবে, ইউ ক্যান ডু ইট। সো এসভিবি ইকুয়াল টু মাইনাস বিটা বাই আরটি প্লাস বিটা প্লাস 1 ইন্টু আরই। ওকে, এইটা ফিক্সড বায়াসে যে এক্সপ্রেশনটা ছিল সেটা ছিল এরকম মাইনাস বিটা বাই আরবি। এখন দেখো একটা এক্সট্রা টার্ম যোগ হয়েছে ডিনোমিনেটরে, তাহলে এই ভ্যালুটা ফিক্সড বায়াসের থেকে কম। ইভেন কালেক্টর টু বেস বায়াসের সঙ্গে কম্পেয়ার করে দেখবে এই ভ্যালুটা কালেক্টর টু বেস বায়াসের থেকেও কম। সেই জন্য তোমার এসভিবিটা ইউজুয়ালি এই সেলফ বায়াস সার্কিটের beta SVB is less than the other two biasing circuits. So self bias circuit is more stable than the other two biasing circuits. এছাড়াও তুমি যদি বিটাটাকে যদি খুব বেশি নাও, বিটাটার ভ্যালু ইউজুয়ালি ট্রানজিস্টরের বিটা খুব বেশি হয়, যদি বিটা বেশি ভ্যালুটাকে যদি খুব বেশি নাও, তাহলে এই এক্সপ্রেশনটা কিরকম হবে? ধরো এই বিটা ইজ ভেরি হাই, যদি বিটা হাই হয় তুমি নিউমারেটর এবং ডিনোমিনেটরকে যদি বিটা দিয়ে ভাগ করো, তাহলে দেখো এই আরটির তলায় একটা বিটা আসবে, এই আর এর তলায় একটা বিটা আসবে, আর বিটা 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 বাই বিটা 1 হয়ে যাবে। তাহলে তোমার কি হবে? এটা মাইনাস 1 বাই আরই। যদি ইফ ইউ টেক বিটা ভেরি ভেরি গ্রেটার দ্যান 1, এইখানটায় বলা আছে ইফ ইউ টেক বিটা ভেরি ভেরি গ্রেটার দ্যান 1, তাহলে এইটা হয়ে যাবে, ভ্যালুটা হয়ে যাবে মাইনাস 1 বাই আরই। তাহলে এসভিবি বিকামস মাইনাস 1 বাই আরই। তাহলে এইটা থেকে তুমি বুঝতে পারছো যে আরই রেজিস্ট্যান্সটাকে একটু বেশি নিতে হবে। যদি আরই রেজিস্ট্যান্সটা একটু বেশি নাও তাহলে এই প্যারামিটারের ভ্যালুটা কমবে, তবে স্টেবিলিটিটা বাড়বে। তাহলে এই এসভিবি এক্সপ্রেশন থেকে অলসো ইউ কনক্লুড দ্যাট উই হ্যাভ টু টেক এ লার্জার ভ্যালু অফ আরই রেজিস্ট্যান্স টু মেক এ বেটার স্টেবল সার্কিট। Similarly, if you differentiate this equation with respect to beta, then you have to calculate then del IC by del beta, and that will be this one. So the expression will be a little bit complicated, but this is the expression it will come. You can do it by algebraically. There is will be several steps you have to do, then you get this final expression. From these expressions also you look carefully. There's S beta expression. If you this S beta will go down or decrease if you choose a large beta transistor. If the beta of the transistor is large, then S beta will fall down and the stability will increase. So that is why the beta, this line actually appears, stability against beta is greater for a higher beta value transistor than a lower beta value transistor. So in case of self bias circuit, if you choose a higher beta transistor, then the stability with respect to beta will be better. And also from the first two stability, we have understood that if you choose the RE resistance high value, the stability will be more, and RT resistance, you have to choose a low value. So if you make these conditions into the circuit, the stability of the circuit will be very good for the self bias circuit. Okay, have you got this one?
স্যার বলছি ফার্স্ট স্টেবিলিটি যেটা আছে SICO,
হ্যাঁ
হ্যাঁ ওই পার্টটা একটু বুঝিয়ে দেবেন, ওটা একটু মানে গুলিয়ে গেছে, মানে ঠিক বুঝতে পারি।
হ্যাঁ, এটা একটু গুলিয়ে যাওয়ার মতোই, তোমাকে এই জায়গাটা একটু বুঝতে হবে। যাই হোক, ঠিক আছে, আরেকবার দেখো এইটা কি মানে অ্যাকচুয়ালি হচ্ছে। এই যে এস আইসিও, এই এক্সপ্রেশনটা আসবে, ওইটাকে ফার্স্ট এর এই ইকুয়েশনটাকে যদি এস আইসিও দিয়ে যদি তুমি ডিফারেন্সিয়েশন করো, এখানে দেখো একটা ইকুয়েশনে আইসিও আছে, এই যে এখানে আইসিওটা আছে, তুমি
হ্যাঁ স্যার।
এন্টার ইকুয়েশনকে যদি ডেল আইসি বাই ডেল আইসিও মানে আইসিও দিয়ে ডিফারেন্সিয়েশন করো, আদার টু প্যারামিটারকে যদি কনস্ট্যান্ট রেখে,
হ্যাঁ।
তাহলে তুমি দেখো না এই ফার্স্ট ইকুয়েশন যদি ডাইরেক্টলি ডিফারেন্সিয়েশন করো, তাহলে এই টার্মটা থাকবে না, এটা কনস্ট্যান্ট টার্ম। তো
ওটা হ্যাঁ ওটার
ভিবি তো কনস্ট্যান্ট তোমাকে ধরতেই হবে, কারণ ডেল আইসি বাই ডেল আইসিও করছে, তাহলে সেখানে আরেকটা ভেরিয়েবল প্যারামিটার, আরো দুটো ভেরিয়েবল প্যারামিটার কনস্ট্যান্ট হবে, তাহলে বিটা ভিবি দুটোই কনস্ট্যান্ট, তাহলে এটাও থাকবে না, তাই তো? বিটাটাকে
হ্যাঁ।
কনস্ট্যান্ট, এখানে এখানেও
হ্যাঁ,
একটা বিটা আছে কনস্ট্যান্ট, তাহলে এই বিটা প্লাস ওয়ান তার তলায় এইটা চলে আসবে,
আচ্ছা।
তাই তো এখানে লেখা আছে,
ও
বুঝতে
আচ্ছা,
পেরেছো?
আমি ওই পার্টটাই বুঝতে পারছিলাম না যে ডিনোমিনেটরে 1 প্লাস বিটা আর ই বাই যেটা আছে, ওই ডিনোমিনেটর পার্টটা আমার মানে কোথা দিয়ে এলো ওটাই কনফিউশন ছিল।
এই ইকুয়েশনটাকে প্রত্যেকটা স্টেবিলিটিতে আমি ফাইনাল এক্সপ্রেশনটাকে দেখাচ্ছি, প্রত্যেকটা ইকুয়েশনকে তুমি ডিফারেন্সিয়েশন করলে ওই স্টেবিলিটি ভ্যালুগুলো বার করলে ওই এক্সপ্রেশনগুলো আসবে। এটা তো পরিষ্কার বুঝতে পারছো যে এটাকে ডেল আইসি বাই ডেল আইসিও করলে এইটা আসবে, আসবে না? এটা পরিষ্কার এখান থেকে বোঝা যাচ্ছে।
হ্যাঁ স্যার, আমি ওই মানে তখন খেয়াল করি।
তাহলে ওই এক্সপ্রেশনগুলো তুমি ফর দ্য টাইমিং ধরে নাও যে ট্রু, তুমি ডেরিভেশন করবে নিজে, করে ওইগুলো আসবে, আসছে কিনা ভেরিফাই করে নেবে, ঠিক আছে? এবারে তোমার হচ্ছে স্টেবিলিটিটাকে তুমি কি করে এখানে অ্যানালিসিস করে বুঝবে যে কি তোমার চেঞ্জ করতে হবে। আচ্ছা, এই সেকেন্ড এক্সপ্রেশনে দেখো এই বিটা প্লাস ওয়ানটাকে আমি এইদিকে সরিয়ে নিয়ে আসলাম। এবার এই যে আরটি প্লাস আরই, এইটাকে আমি দিয়ে রেশনালাইজ করলাম, করলে উপরে একটা আরটি প্লাস আরই চলে যাবে, আর নিচে কি হবে, নিচেও একটা আরটি প্লাস আরই প্লাস বিটা হবে ডিনোমিনেটরে। এবারে নিউমারেটর এবার ডিনোমিনেটরকে তুমি আরই দিয়ে ভাগ করো, তাহলে তোমার এই এক্সপ্রেশনটা চলে আসবে, ঠিক আছে?
হ্যাঁ স্যার, এবারে
এটা
বুঝেছি।
এটা করাটা খুব একটা কঠিন না, তোমরা হামেশাই করে এসছো, পেয়ে যাবে, এই এক্সপ্রেশনটা তোমার পেয়ে যাবে। এবার হচ্ছে আমি স্টেবিলিটি কি করে অ্যানালাইসিস করব। এবারে তুমি ভালো করে দেখো যে এস আইসিও আমার দুটো লিমিটিং ভ্যালু তুমি পাবে, যদি আরটি বাই আরইটা যদি খুব লো হয়, মানে লো কেন হবে, যা আরই রেজিস্ট্যান্সটা খুব বেশি, আরটি রেজিস্ট্যান্সটা খুব কম, তখন আরটি বাই আরই ইজ ভেরি লো। এটা যদি ক্লোজ টু জিরোর দিকে হয়, মানে খুব লো যদি হয়, একের থেকে ছোট হয়, তাহলে তোমার এটা বাদ চলে যাবে, এটাও বাদ চলে যাবে,
হ্যাঁ স্যার,
তখন এখানে বিটা প্লাস ওয়ান, এখানে ওয়ান প্লাস বিটা ক্যান্সেল হয়ে গিয়ে কত হবে, ওয়ান।
1 হয়ে যাবে।
তাহলে এস আইসিও লোয়েস্ট ভ্যালু হবে ওয়ান,
হ্যাঁ।
তাই তো? এবার আমি হাইয়েস্ট ভ্যালুটা বার করার চেষ্টা করছি, যেখানে আরটি বাই আরই ইজ কোয়াইট লার্জ। আরটি বাই আরই যদি খুব বেশি হয় নিউমারেটর এবং ডিনোমিনেটরে, তাহলে ডিনোমিনেটরে ধরো আরটি বাই আরইটা খুব বেশি, তাহলে ওয়ান প্লাস বিটাটাকে তুমি নেগলেক্ট করে দিতে পারো,
হুম।
এই ওয়ানটাকেও নেগলেক্ট করে দিতে পারো, তো উপর নিচে আরটি বাই
হ্যাঁ।
আরই ক্যান্সেল হয়ে গিয়ে তোমার কত ভ্যালু ফাইনালি দাঁড়াবে, বিটা প্লাস ওয়ান।
বিটা প্লাস 1 এটা ম্যাক্সিমাম ভ্যালু।
এটা ম্যাক্সিমাম ভ্যালু।
হ্যাঁ,
তাহলে
মানে
এস আইসিওর
1 থেকে মানে বিটা প্লাস 1 এ ভ্যারি করছে ভ্যালুটা।
ভ্যারি করছে,
হুম।
ঠিক আছে? এইটা হচ্ছে লোয়েস্ট ভ্যালু ইউ ক্যান অবটেন ম্যাক্সিমাম, এই লোয়েস্ট ভ্যালু তুমি যেটা পাবে সেটা হচ্ছে ওয়ান, আর হাইয়েস্ট যেটা তোমার ভ্যালু এখানে আসছে সেটা হচ্ছে বিটা প্লাস ওয়ান। ইউ নো দ্যাট বিটা অফ এ ট্রানজিস্টর ইজ কোয়াইট লার্জ। ইউজুয়ালি ট্রানজিস্টরের বিটা ধরো 100, ধরো 100 আছে, কমন ভ্যালু 100 থাকাটা অস্বাভাবিক নয়, 100 ট্রানজিস্টর 100 গেন, অনেক অনেক ট্রানজিস্টরই আছে, তাহলে ওই বিটা প্লাস ওয়ানটা হয়ে যাবে 101, আর লোয়েস্ট ভ্যালু হচ্ছে 1।
1 মানে
তাহলে
অনেক
তুমি এই এস আইসিওটার কোন ভ্যালুটা রাখবে? ডেফিনেটলি 1 রাখার চেষ্টা করবে,
হ্যাঁ স্যার।
যাতে করে ওই ডেল আইসি বাই ডেল আইসিও এই রেটটা যত মিনিমাম হয়, আইসিও চেঞ্জ করলে আইসিটা যাতে সব থেকে কম হারে চেঞ্জ করে, সেই জন্য এই ভ্যালুটাকে, রেটের ভ্যালুটাকে 1 রাখার চেষ্টা করবে।
ইয়েস স্যার।
তাহলে এটাকে 1 রাখার উপায় কি? আরটি বাই আরই শুড বি ভেরি ভেরি লেস দ্যান 1, very very small RT by RE, or RE resistance should be very very larger than RT resistance. or you have to choose a very high value RE resistance. Have you got it?
ইয়েস স্যার, হ্যাঁ
আর
স্যার
কোনো অসুবিধা, আর কোনো অসুবিধা আছে? আর কোনো অসুবিধা আছে? বুঝেছো জিনিসটা?
হ্যাঁ স্যার এবার পুরো ক্লিয়ার হয়েছে।
তাহলে এই সার্কিটের দিকে দেখো, তাহলে কি করতে হবে আমাকে? এই RE রেজিস্ট্যান্সটাকে বাড়াতে হবে। RT সরি এখানে দেখো, RE রেজিস্ট্যান্সটাকে বাড়াতে হবে, RT রেজিস্ট্যান্সটাকে কম রাখতে হবে। তুমি তো জানো যে RE রেজিস্ট্যান্স যদি বাড়ানো মানে ওই যে অটোমেটিক ফিডব্যাক প্রসেস যেটাকে আইসিটাকে চেঞ্জটাকে মানে রেস্ট্রিক্ট করে, সেটা বেড়ে যাবে যদি RE রেজিস্ট্যান্সের ভ্যালুটাকে বাড়াও। তাহলে ম্যাথমেটিক্স থেকে আমরা যেটা পাচ্ছি, ফিজিক্যালিও আমরা সেই একই জিনিস পাচ্ছি যে তোমাকে RE রেজিস্ট্যান্স লাগাতে হবে এবং RE রেজিস্ট্যান্সের একটা হাই ভ্যালু লাগাতে হবে। RT রেজিস্ট্যান্স শুড বি লো। আর কি বিটা রেসপেক্টে আমি কি দেখলাম, ট্রানজিস্টর এমন একটা ট্রানজিস্টর চুজ করতে হবে যার বিটা কোয়াইট হাই। এই কন্ডিশনগুলো তোমার এই সার্কিটে ইম্পোজ করলে স্টেবিলিটি অনেক ভালো, বেটার। ইজ দ্যাট ওকে? এনি আদার কোশ্চেন?
নো স্যার।
আজকে তো 1:30 বেজে গেছে। ঠিক আছে, আজকে আর একটুখানি বাকি ছিল, ঠিক আছে, পরের দিন বলবো। এই বায়াসিং এবং তার স্টেবিলিটি এবং কিউ পয়েন্ট লোড লাইন এগুলো জানা খুব জরুরি। কেন বায়াসিং করা হয় কি ইত্যাদি ইত্যাদি, যে কোনো 3 টার্মিনাল ডিভাইসে এই কনসেপ্টগুলো ক্লিয়ার থাকলে তোমার ওই সার্কিটগুলোরও একই জিনিস, একই টাইপের জিনিস বুঝতে সুবিধা হবে। যাই হোক, এবারে আমরা বায়াসিং করে ফেললাম, স্টেবিলিটি বাড়িয়ে দিলাম। এবারে আমরা সিগন্যাল অ্যাম্পলিফাই করব। কিভাবে সিগন্যাল কি করে অ্যাম্পলিফাই করব, তার সার্কিটটা কিরকম হবে, আউটপুট সিগন্যালটা কিরকম হবে, সেটা আজকে আর ছেড়ে দাও, পরের দিন করব, ঠিক আছে? আমি তোমাদের এই যা সময় আছে তাতে এই যা ওকে, জাস্ট তোমাদের যা সময় আছে তাতে অ্যাম্পলিফায়ারের অনেক কিছু বলার আছে, ঠিক আছে? কমন কালেক্টর, কমন এমিটার, কমন বেস, তার হাইব্রিড মডেল, তোমার হাইব্রিড ইকুইভ্যালেন্ট মডেল দিয়ে অ্যানালিসিস করা, তার গেন বার করা, ইনপুট আউটপুট রেজিস্ট্যান্স বার করা, এরকম অনেক কিছু তোমার আছে। আমি জানি না ওইগুলো তোমাদের আমি করাতে পারবো কিনা, আমি অতটা টাইম মানে পাবো না, সেই জন্য আমাকে একটু কিছুটা ওইগুলো স্কিপ করতে, যদি আমি টাইম পাই তাহলে আমি আবার ব্যাক করে আবার ওখানে আসবো, এসে দু একটা জিনিস আবার করব। কিন্তু এইগুলো তোমাদের জানতেই হবে, যেগুলো বলছি, এবং আরো কিছু জিনিস তোমাদের জানতেই হবে, ঠিক আছে? ঠিক আছে, আজকে এই অবধি থাক, নেক্সট ডে আবার ডিসকাশন হবে।
স্যার অ্যাটেন্ডেন্সটা?
সুশান্ত, ওটা আমি সৌভিককে বলে রেখেছি।
ওকে স্যার, ওকে স্যার।
তুমি তুমি ওর কিছু একটা মেকানিজম আছে হয়তো যে অ্যাটেন্ডেন্স মনে হয় হয়ে যায়, ঠিক আছে? আমি তো ধরো আমার তো এই ক্লাসরুমটায় ঠিকঠাক ভাবে আমি মেশিনে ইনস্টল করতে পারছি না, সেই জন্য ওইটা আমি করতে পারছি না।
স্যার বলছি এই সার্কিটগুলো কি স্টেবিলিটি বার করতে হয় পরীক্ষার সময়?
হ্যাঁ, দিলে তোমায় বার করতে হবে এই অ্যানালিসিস যদি এই কোশ্চেন থাকে। এগুলো জানতেই হবে, অ্যানালগ ইলেকট্রনিক্স মানে তোমার এই বায়াসিং সার্কিট জানতেই হবে, এটা হচ্ছে মিনিমাম, তোমাকে জানতে অ্যাটলিস্ট এইগুলো জানতে হবে। তারপরে তোমার অ্যাম্পলিফায়ার, তার অ্যানালিসিস, এসি অ্যানালিসিস, তার বিভিন্ন রকম অ্যাম্পলিফায়ার অ্যানালিসিস, এগুলো তারপরে আসবে, তো এগুলো তো জানতেই হবে। ঠিক আছে, আর কিছু জিজ্ঞেস করবে?
স্যার অসুবিধে হলে তখন নেক্সট ক্লাসে জিজ্ঞেস করবো, এটা পড়ে নিয়ে আরো ভালোভাবে যেটা পড়ালেন স্যার।
হ্যাঁ, এই একটাই আমার তোমাদের কাছে থাকবে যে তোমরা এই ডে বাই ডে যেগুলো হচ্ছে সেগুলো কিন্তু বুঝে নিও, নেক্সট ক্লাসে কিন্তু তারপর থেকে আবার হবে, ঠিক আছে? যদি একটু মানে একটু পড়ে নাও তাহলে এই তোমার সুবিধা হবে, তোমাদেরই সুবিধা হবে, ঠিক আছে?